Thank you, sir. Your words were really encouraging. Now I request our Honorable Director, Professor K. Umameshwar Rao, to address the gathering.
The most distinguished guest of honor, Dr. A.K. Nayak, Head RTD BARC, and the distinguished speaker or coordinator of from BARC, Dr. Sudipta Chakravarti, and the coordinator of this program, Professor Dinda, and co-convener, Head of the Department Chemistry, Professor Das, faculty members of the chemistry, and the deans of NIT Rourkela, registrar, Professor Rohan Dinda, and other my dear faculty members, and my dearest students. At the very outset, I seek your pardon for keeping you waiting because I was preoccupied and I was in the hospital with my wife, and so I got really held up there. And I'm extremely sorry for keeping you waiting. And right, I would have really requested Professor Dinda to carry on, but then they had the patience to wait for me. But time is really one thing which we have got to respect. Right? So no, I'm really sorry, sir. Sorry for both of you. And as far as this particular workshop is concerned, nuclear science and applications of radioisotopes has already been discussed or stated in their inaugural address. I'm an odd element here because I'm not, I don't belong to the field of chemistry, but I have some association with nuclear deposits, right? Because I was for 2 long terms, I was the independent director of Department of Atomic Energy, dealing with the uranium mining of uranium from UCIL, and so I have a long association with the BARC. Right, as far as the word nuclear or the radioactive elements is concerned, there is no exaggeration, and there must be some truth also in that one, that it gives some sort of a shiver in the spine. And we had COVID also the same thing. COVID became such a shiver in the spine for the entire community across the globe. Is that the first COVID patient, which when we really noticed, that day also I was with my wife in the hospital, and then there was an announcement, right, over the microphone that there is one COVID patient. Then you just have to really see the mayhem that has happened in front of the hospital, as if a wild, what is that called, the lion has come out of the bone, and then just people were helter-skelter and then running here and there. It's nothing but a small boy in 20s, right? He is found, detected positive. That was the first experience of first wave COVID. I don't think radioactive elements are as dangerous as this virus. And it is a friendly element, right? You don't have to get scared about that one. Often what happens is that a common man doesn't really have the knowledge of what exactly is this radioactive element. But then it is the projection of the social media, right? Because TRP rating, unfortunately or fortunately, what really happens is that positive news does not really carry weight. It's always the negative news. It carries a lot of weight in the media and everywhere. So now, somehow, my first experience at UCIL as the independent director was that, you know that I think how many of the chemists here, you know what exactly is the ore of uranium and what is the percentage of uranium present in that uranite. Anybody here from the audience, what is the percentage of uranium in the ore? Uranium ore. 0.04, 0.05, 0.06, even to the extent that 0.02 is also mined in our country. This is the tragedy. This is the truth which none of us know. France mines the ore which has 8%, sir. Australia also about that one. Canada also that one. And then they have the percentages up to 10. And then there are some places, some deposits in Canada which has something around 12 to 16% of uranium. Absolutely no issues. No issues. But then when I am mining in Jadugoda area, right, 0.04, cutoff is 0.025. There is an issue. There is an issue so much so that, right, reasons apart, when you are going to the mine site or the plant is the one where you have got to do the beneficiation and then take out the yellow cake. And then the months of extraction from the earth, and then you get less than half a kilo of uranium cake, right? That is the amount of uranium that you get, and it is so valuable. It is so valuable, I think, over the days of this workshop, our guest of honor and then the speaker from the BRC, that they will explain you what are the multiple utilities of this nuclear element. Okay. So now, instead of really, the truth is that Japan, Korea, France, and then there are so many countries, I just cannot name the number of countries where the major source of power generation is the nuclear power. To the extent that even the Ukraine and then even Russian, right, they are all the experts in that one, and then even Chinese also, they are all experts. And today here, right, we are conventionally stuck with burning the carbonaceous fuels to generate power, and 70% of the power generation in the country is by burning the carbonaceous fuels. And again, the tragedy out here, I'm just trying to compare these two power generation elements. Maybe I'm taking a little longer time because it is a workshop for the young minds to know the truth. And then it is your responsibility to let everybody know what exactly is the truth. The truth is that we are not mining the percentages which are really harmful. Right? Our life around the society is having more radiation which is not from the uranium. Okay? Please ignore that one. No, ignore. Just ignore. Just ignore that one. Enjoy the sound of the call, and then you forget about that one. Right? So now the question here is that 0.04% uranium to take out the yellow cake, right? Tons of the fine ground rock powder, okay? And unfortunately, that this is what we call as a tailing or a gang material. It has to be dumped in the tailings pond, right? Climate out here is really very hot. It goes to really very hot temperatures up to 45, 46, even up to 48 degrees also in Jadugoda. The dust rises. Right? The dust is not containing any radioactive element. Believe me. Dust from the automobiles is more harmful. Right? The dust that you are inhaling through cigarettes is more harmful. The dust from various other sources, it is more harmful. Sitting in an AC room is more harmful than going into the mine. But the fact is that you are comfortable in an AC room, and then you are comfortable in an automobile, riding in the automobile which he is using gasoline, kerosene, and then pumping out the dark suit. You are comfortable, no reaction, no social media, nothing. Right? But when you say the word uranium, whole globe reacts. Whole globe reacts in a negative way. And there is a political angle to that one. Let us not discuss about that one. So now there, what has happened is that National Geography was there in that area. So I was called there because I was the only mining expert there in that area, Uranium Corporation of India Limited. So there were some cattle grazing grass on the tailings pond. Finished, over. It's a social issue there. Now, the company was sued. Company was sued some millions of dollars for not really barricading the tailings pond, letting the stray animals or letting the animals graze the grass on this tailings pond. Fundamentally, nobody was interested to know grass could come out on a tailings pond, which in fact, if it is really concentrated uranium or any radioactive element is there, I don't think, right, any grass or any greenery will come on the tailings pond, which is chemically treated for extraction of the uranium, right? People are not interested. People are just only interested in the barbed wire fencing which is cut, and because there is green inside the tailings pond gets lot of water from the mill. And so because of the conditions which are really suitable there, grass grew, and then the animals were there inside, and then that became a very big issue, and then it was a fight for more than couple of years. Right? Ultimately what happens is that you know that National Geography is not a small channel, right? And then the company has to pay through the nose the penalty for that one after some bit of negotiations. This is the issue, right? And then you go to any hospital, right? My experience in the hospitals, somehow I'm very friendly with hospitals because very often I'm going to hospitals, either taking my mother-in-law or my mother or my father, right? My father and mother, now they are in the heavens, right, watching me, right? And my mother-in-law, and then my wife, half late for the last 8 months, she has been regularly visiting hospitals for various reasons, and then again there. These days doctors always want to expose us to the X-rays. Right, you have a stomach ache, right, they want to take an X-ray, you have really sleepless nights, and then they want to have X-ray, and then nobody has any issue about how much you are really exposed to this particular X-rays. I think that is much more than getting into a mine or sitting on the tailings pond and then having your breakfast and tea. This is a myth. The chemists, please remember that uranium is a beautiful the creation of the nature. All right, I think 1 gram of uranium is equivalent to a few tons of coal as far as its energy potential is concerned. Its energy potential is concerned. The political angle is that India has the highest, of course, it's not a rich, right? Don't misquote me. We do not have the rich uranium deposits, but then we have. You can very well imagine 177 kilometers or 176 kilometers. There is one place between Bangalore and then Andhra, right? 176 or 77 kilometers strike length, straight line. It is not a zigzag line, straight line. That is a strike line, right? In surveying, what you call that is a strike line. 176 kilometers or 175 kilometers. I reduce the length also. 75 kilometers is strike length of uranium deposit in Tumalpally area. Right? It was identified in early 70s, and it is getting mined now recently in the last 1 decade. It was right. So now, if India has self-sufficiency in producing uranium, which is it's a strategic mineral, right? Its applications are manifold, right? In the defense and then agriculture and the medical, and then you can name these radioisotopes are being used in various processes and then various applications. That is the application. The question is that there is some, I don't want to misquote that one. You know, people do not want to garibi ko bacha ke rakhna, garibi bachao. So garibi ko bacha ke rakhenge. So in that aspect, the developed countries, they will not allow us the free hand to do the mining of uranium because they are of the fear that if India becomes self-sufficient of uranium, then there is absolutely no need for them to depend on the all the G9 countries for this nuclear pacts, right? This is a political angle, but with a lot of trials and errors, right? A small piece of land is really being allowed to mine. Okay, the extent of the other end of the tail end of the 175 kilometers end, that ends up in my hometown. Right, I come from Telangana, and that Telangana is I think some of you must have really read about or remember Nagarjuna Sagar. Anyone remembers Nagarjuna Sagar? Okay, right. This is in that Nagarjuna Sagar area. It's there is Lambapur is one small settlement. In that there is another rich pocket. Rich pocket means 0.06 only. We call it as a very rich pocket. There again, we just wanted to do UCL, BRC, and all. They wanted to do the exploratory drilling, and then overnight, believe me or not, right? Overnight, all right. So now this drill was there, and then a few jeeps were there. People from all across the southern India, and then media and everybody gathered, and then they started really making slogans, and then they burnt the jeep and then your drilling machine, because it's uranium. Outcrop has the uranium deposit. It's an outcrop. Outcrop means that whatever the radiations that you are really calling, outcrop means it is exposed on the surface. Remember, right? People haven't identified that this particular rock around which you have been living is uranium. But then when you want to really drill around it, make a mechanical activity there, right, you have an issue there. So now this is again an issue which